Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today we have a 2012, it's a Toyota Highlander. We're going to be changing the front and rear brakes as well as the rotors. We're not going to do just the brake pads because the rotors have a significant amount of rust on the face of it as well as in the back of it. If you change just the brakes, they're going to wear down prematurely and they're going to make a heck of a lot of noise. So we're going to change everything, do the job one time out the door, and it'll be perfect. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here first. We're going to get in here with the pry bar, just like this. Go in the back like this, and you're going to push this piston back in, all the way back into the bore. So you start to push a little bit. See how it's pushing in? You want to make sure that that piston is pushed all the way back in as far as it can go. You can see the piston is recessed all the way back in as far as it's supposed to be. And now we're going to check these slide pins right here to make sure that they're sliding properly before we go any further. These should slide back and forth very loosely. See this? They're sliding. They're sliding pretty good. So we are going to lubricate them because it's probably very dry, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, so we're going to take out this bolt here and here. We're going to relocate this off to the side, the caliper, and then we're going to remove the bolts up in here, and also another one down underneath in here. I think it's like a 17 millimeter. This way we could remove this knuckle here from the truck, and then we're going to take this rotor off. Okay, see how this rotor is rusted onto the hub right here? You can either bang it with a hammer to try to knock it off, which is fairly easy, or if you don't feel like banging it with a hammer, you could take a bolt like this and you screw it right inside here, like that. Sometimes easier said than done because of rust. You just screw it in like that, and now once we have this all off over here, we'll come back and we'll do this job right here. So, all right, let's get set up and let's get this job done. I'm going to take out these bolts here. They look like they're probably going to be the 12 or 13 millimeter. Let's see what it is. It's probably going to be a 14 millimeter. All right, so we'll take these bolts out here, and then we're going to relocate that off to the side. You just snap these loose like that. And like that. All right, now we're going to take this caliper and we're just going to stand this off to the side someplace. We're not going to lose these bolts here because we are going to need to put these back in here once we put it back together. So we're just going to set these off to the side right now, and then we'll come right back with these. All right, caliper. We're just going to put it off to the side like this for now. Now normally I'll hang it with a wire, but I have a nice perfect spot right there for it, so we're not going to do that. We are going to take these brake pads out of here. Now that one's pretty rusted in there, so we'll come back to that. All right, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to come up underneath here and we're going to take these bolts out. They're probably going to be 17 millimeters. Yep, 17 millimeter. And we'll break these loose. Usually pretty tight, but once you break them loose, they usually come right out without a problem. And we're going to come back to that. This we are also going to come back to. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this here, but we'll come back to that in a minute. All right, now, remember we talked about taking this rotor off. One, you can get in the back with a hammer here, and you can bang on it to knock it out, which is fairly easy, comes out okay. There's actually another way though. Okay, rusty rotors are a big problem. Sometimes they rust onto the hub itself. You can get in here with a pry bar like this here. You put it back behind this right here, and you pull on it, and sometimes you can break it loose. As you can see with this one, well maybe you can't see, but I'll give a little more distance here. You can see here, this one is stuck pretty good. All right, so you have two choices. One, you can get back here with the pry bar like this, and then you can get in here with a hammer and you bang it right here, and you'll pull at the pry bar at the same time. As you're pulling on the pry bar, you bang here and it should pop off. Or you can do it the easy way. You put that bolt in there that I showed you before. Remember that bolt that I put in here before? And now we just tighten that bolt in. And when you tighten the bolt in, it'll pop that rotor off. Sometimes you'll have to hold it, because it's pretty tight. But as you can see, that's the easiest way. Comes right off like that. Now, don't pull it too hard, because in the back over here, the parking brakes get rusted into the back of the rotor. So I want to show you that. All right, so you just break it loose a little bit, and now we're just gonna just play with it a little bit like this and turn it. You don't want to damage the parking brakes inside there. Watch you don't pinch your fingers in here, because it hurts like a you know what. And we talked about rust inside here. If this is rusted in here, you will need to either take a scraper and scrape it with some type of razor blade or emery cloth or whatever you have. If you don't have that, you can use a gasket scraper to clean it like this. Or you can do it the easy way, like I usually do. Take a disc like this, and we'll clean this up real good inside here before we put it back on. So, all right, let me get my air supply. We're going to start cleaning this up. And once we have it clean, we'll come right back, so don't go nowhere. Okay, when you get your new rotor, you're going to notice that the rotor is usually in plastic, and it also has a lot of oil on it, because they lubricate it, so it's actually not rusting while it's in the warehouse. Now these rotors here, I am using what's called a premium rotor. They come plated with this material that's supposed to reduce all the rusting. They work pretty good, and they're really not that much more than the normal brake rotors. All right, so now you want to clean the face of the rotor off, both the back part as well as the front, to get all that grease off there. So you just spray it down, and you wipe it off. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to get most of it off, because otherwise it will smoke. We're going to clean inside here where the parking brakes touch. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to get most of it out of there. Same thing on here. And we're going to clean all this face off right here too. All right, now you'll notice that here on the brake rotor is a little tiny spot right there. You will need to put that plug back inside there that was off the old rotor. And the way you do that is you just go in through the back right here, and you push that plug out. Comes out really easy. Don't stab yourself. All right, pushes right out. And you just push it right back inside the rotor like that. That's where you adjust your parking brake from, but we're not going to have to do anything with that right now. So, all right, let's put this back together. And we cleaned the face of the rotor off already. We are going to take the knuckle here. The hub. We're going to turn it till we get to that cutout area right there. That cutout area has to be right here, because that's how you're going to reach in and adjust your parking brakes. So we just put that over the top like this. Slide it on all the way. And now that it's all the way on, we're going to leave this sit right now. We're going to go back over to that mounting bracket, and we're going to continue with that. Here's your mounting bracket. You're going to pull these pins out. Now you see these pins here? You see how this one has that rubber seal on the end right there? I'm going to show you this one. And this one does not. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of that brake cleaner that we have on there. I have it on my rag now. Wipe it all down. They have to go back in the same location where they came out of. All right, just wipe it down like this. And now, before you put it back together, you put some lubricant on here. You don't have to use a lot. Too much is just as bad as not enough. All right, make sure it goes back in the same location where it came out of. Same thing right here, like that. Slide it back in. And now you want to make sure that you see that little collar right there. You see that little round area? You have to push it until it pops back up like that. Very important. See? If it doesn't push up, then you just pop it back up with your finger, and you're in good shape. All right, now we're going to take these pads out. This one is a little rusty, so we're just going to persuade it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this caliper hardware here. Now, you can just pull it off, or you can get in here with a screwdriver just like that and pry it right off like this. And the same thing on this one here. Pry it off like this. Right? Now, if there is a lot of rust inside here where the hardware is going to go, you'll need to get in here and you'll need to clean this off with a scraper, a file, sandpaper, whatever you have. So, now remember, we took the hardware out before. So what we're going to do is you put a little bit of grease everywhere that the hardware is going to connect onto. It minimizes the amount of rusting that takes place. And then we take the hardware, you put it over the top like this, and you just push it down like that, and you'll see it pops right into place just where it's supposed to. Very important whenever you do a job like this is to always change the hardware. If you buy a set of brake pads and it does not come with it, get it, because you'll have a problem. It'll avoid a problem for you. All right, so that's how the hardware kit looks. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lubricate every place that the brake pad is going to touch. Makes everything slide nice and easy. See? This is the pad. And once you have the lubricant on it, you see how everything slides nice and freely? That's the way it's supposed to be. All right? It's what's called a disc indicator. When it wears down to a certain point, it needs to be replaced. These particular brake pads do not come with the indicator on them. They come separately. So what you need to do is you take the brake pad in your hand like this, you match up where the indicator is located now, and you put this indicator back on. This is the new one. You put it on like this, okay? Just the way it's supposed to be, just like that. Now the next thing we're going to do is you match it up like this, and you see this here? That's where the inside piston touches. So this one we know is the inside brake pad. So we're going to take this brake pad. You can put it in either here or you can do it later on a car. I like to do it here because sometimes I can see a little bit better. And we're going to do the same thing on this side here. Just push it in. And that's what the finished product is supposed to look like. Just like that. So let me turn you around and we're going to continue. You just take this, slide it over the top, just like that. And then I squeeze the brake pads together just to keep it from falling out while you're working here. And you screw your 2 bolts in that hold the mounting bracket to the body of the car itself. All right, screw them in by hand. You want to get both of them caught before you tighten anything up. All right, screw it in as far as you can by hand. And we're going to grab our 17mm ratchet that we previously took the bolts out with, and we're going to reinstall them. Okay, brake pads are in place. Now we're going to take our caliper, and again, remember, everywhere that the brake pad touches, you want to lubricate. So if this piston here is touching the caliper, you want to make sure it's lubricated. Same thing over here and here, right? And then we slide this over the top, push the slide pins in, and then we take both of our bolts, catch them by hand. Before you tighten them in, you catch both of them in there. All right, now remember that was 14mm, so now we're going to tighten up the 14mm bolts. All right, so I'm going to take my gloves off. We're going to recap what we did, and then we're going to move to the front. All right. So what we did is we put our new rotor back on. We cleaned up the face right here so that there's no rust underneath there. We slid it back on. We made sure we had that little groove, remember that cutout right there? We had it lined up with this, so in the event that I need to adjust the parking brake, I could get in there and I could adjust it. All right, we mounted our mounting bracket back on. We tightened up those 17mm bolts here and down the bottom. We installed our new hardware kit. We lubricated every place that the brake pad is going to touch, front and rear. we lubricated the slide pins, and we lubricated every place that the caliper comes in contact with the brake pads. And that's it. We tightened these 14 millimeters up, and this job is done. As always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.